But anyways, Jack, you're a Wilmington guy.
Yep.
Now, were you born and raised in Wilmington?
I was.
Is that like hometown?
Yep.
Is it?
Lived there my
Okay.
whole life.
Are you still there now?
I am.
You still live in Wilmington. Wow. So you were, what sports were you big in? I know you were a big football guy. I know you were a fullback, linebacker. 2017 you had 1,300 yards, over 1,300 yards, which is impressive. 133 carries, 15 touchdowns. You're an all-state linebacker. So football is obviously, that one's up there. But what other sports were you into?
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up pretty much playing all the sports that we had: soccer, baseball, track and field, and I actually didn't start playing football until 7th grade.
Really?
One of my best friends was at the time Bryson Varelli, whose grandfather was our head coach, and we were playing indoor soccer together one year, and I think I accidentally let some kid up into the boards, and Coach Varelli pulled my parents aside and hey, that boy needs to play football. And, kind of got talking to him and came out my 7th grade year and ran with it since. But yeah, I grew up playing soccer. I played baseball my freshman year at New Wilmington and ran track and field all through junior high. But then my sophomore year, and I liked them all, but ultimately I was like, oh, we definitely have a good team and something special possibly with the football program. So eventually dropped those and just focused on football. But yeah, growing up, I pretty much played all of them: baseball, track, soccer.
Yeah. This whole area, there's a lot of triathletes here. There's 3-sport athletes that everybody does. I did it too. I was football, wrestling, track. Those are I did it, loved it. It's just such a big thing up here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you guys had a great team back then. I remember Wilmington, they always had these big corn-fed dudes that were they were always a nightmare. You guys were just a tough team, just a real tough team. Now, do I think most of Mercer County is kind of disconnected from Wilmington. Do a lot of those guys end up kind of staying local? Do they stick to Wilmington?
They do. A lot of them will end up going straight out of high school into the trades, and they'll still live in New Wilmington and kind of go wherever the job takes them during the day. But yeah, there's a handful that do go to college and pursue whatever they're going to pursue, and usually they'll come back and around this area or more towards Pittsburgh. And but primarily anybody that comes straight out of high school into the trades, they'll do their trade, or they'll just work on their family's farm and still in the state.
Yeah, a lot of farmers out there.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the highlights from your football career? I know you guys went for the D10 title. How many times did you guys go for the title back in your day?
When I was there, we went, I think, twice. We made the state or just the district playoffs my freshman year, lost early, if we even made it. Sophomore year, I think we lost a round or two into the District 10. And then junior and senior year, we won the district both times. And junior year, we went on to the Western Final and played Steel Valley, and we did lose that game. And then my senior year, we got one step further to states. We got through the Whip Heel. We played Washington. And then my senior year, we played Southern Columbia at Hershey.
How'd that go?
48-0.
Oh, man.
Cool. I'll never forget. It was the first play of the game. We knew they were good. We knew they were loaded. We were like, okay, we're 18-year-old kids. They're 18-year-old kids.
Yeah.
We got this. They're running the wing tee. We're running the wing tee. We're used to this.
Yeah.
Well, this is the first play of the game. We barely ever passed, but we ran a tunnel screen to the wideout. Colton Merritt was his name. He's a good friend. And he broke it running down the field 40 yards downfield. They had Julian Fleming, who plays for the Buckeyes now, and he was a very, very high-rated 5-star recruit at the time. Out of nowhere, chases Colton down 40 yards downfield, comes behind him, punches the ball out, and then scoops and runs the other way for a while. And we're all just oh no.
This is how it's going to be.
It was oh, this is awesome for about 20 seconds. And then it was very, very...
proceeded to go downhill from there.
It did. Yeah, they had a great team. They were similar to us, not really super, super big size-wise, but tough, mean, very, very dominant. And yeah, it was great fun in the sense of the competition, but yeah, they beat us pretty bad.
They beat you up pretty bad. I mean, you still made it pretty far. It's still a good run.
Yeah, and the big thing for that going into our senior year was, the freshman and sophomore year, we weren't very dominant. We knew we had the potential to be good. Our 7th grade, 8th grade, and 9th grade, those are the years we all played together growing up. We were undefeated almost every year. So we're like, all right, we have the chance to really do something. And the kind of the mentality was, all right, we did our best junior year. We went really far, got some attention, which was great. And ultimately going to senior year, the mentality was just be better than last year, be better than the day before, better than the morning. And we were really, really proud to get 2 states because last year we made it to the Western Final, and we got into an offensive shootout of all things with Washington, who won the Whip Heel that year, and ended up beating them and went to Hershey.
Do you remember what the score was for that?
I don't. I think it was I think we had like mid-high 40s, maybe they had high 30s or like 35, 48.
Pretty
or
close.
something like that. Yeah, it was pretty back and forth the whole game, and towards the end of the game, we broke away with 2 touchdowns.
Wow, that's an exciting career.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and ultimately I came into football kind of late, so I just liked hanging out with my friends and playing. Like it helped that we were good, sure, but I really just enjoyed kind of the fellowship and getting connected with the community. And
you say so nonchalant, like you weren't you weren't a stud. You had the all-state linebacker, 1,300 yard. I mean, that's crazy. So that was kind of your high school sport career. You're a big football guy. Obviously, what was kind of the next step for you? High school's ending. Did you move on? Did you go play football in college? Was that an option for you? Did you just go for education? Where were you at the end of your high school career?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. At the end of my high school career, I had a lot of local colleges interested in me playing football there, and ultimately I loved it. I had a phenomenal experience playing football. I have no regrets. Loved every second of it, but by the end of it, I was ready to be done.
Sure.
I liked it, but I didn't love the sport itself, right? So ultimately, I ended up going to Mount Union, which is funny enough a huge football program. But no, I never even gave any remote interest in playing. I just went there and studied and really focused on involvement and kind of academics there. Mount Union was a great school, great program. I had a wonderful experience there, and my favorite thing was being able to get involved with everything. Freshman year, kind of right off the bat, I was able to get involved with Greek life, student senate. Sophomore year, I continued those and then got involved with our orientation staff. So by the time I was a sophomore, I was involved in my fraternity. I was one of the orientation leaders, and I was also our student body treasurer. So I kind of focused on more clubs and kind of connections.
Yeah, that's a lot of clubs.
Networking. But then also with all of those does come requirements for community service. But really, none of us looked at it like that. It was kind of my first taste of giving back and getting involved and making not only just the people around you but your community as well, hopefully a better place than when you started.
Sure. And then Mount Union, as far as club participation, do you guys have a pretty good turnout? Like, do you have a lot of kids that get involved in the clubs? Or
big time. Mount Union's interesting. It's majority of the students, maybe not the majority, at least maybe the freshman class come for football, and then people who don't play football get very, very involved. Mount Union was like a very surprisingly hyper involved campus. There was, I think at the time, over 100 student organizations on campus.
Holy smokes.
Everyone, they could be anything from Greek social fraternities to Greek community service philanthropic fraternities to pre-dental club to chess club and even a random acts of kindness club. There was just everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. What's Mount Union, education wise, what do you think they're best known for? What are some of their key majors?
Yeah, that's a great question. They have a strong business program for sure. I studied business there. I graduated with a finance and then risk management and insurance double major and an accounting minor. And one of the best things was all the business classes have the same first 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So for me to add another business major, even a minor, it might be 3 extra or 4 extra classes to get that major, which was awesome. And they are definitely known for some graduate programs, physical therapy being one. Education is a strong program, and they have a very strong political science and kind of government job track as well.
Okay, so a lot of communication business-ish fields.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I have a lot of buddies that, believe it or not, a couple guys I played football with ended up going to Mount Union.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a lot of good things to say about it. Everyone kind of likes it up there. So as far as your degree, what made you pick? Okay, business makes sense. There's a lot of business majors out there, but the risk management, insurance, that's a very specific, was it minor? Did you minor in that?
I majored in it.
Major in it.
Yep.
What led to that? I mean, that's so specific.
Yeah, it's kind of a funny story. So ultimately what led into it is bonus points. I was in a freshman year marketing class, and I was sitting at an 88%. I'm like, 90% is a lot better than 88. I'd like an A or at least an A minus on this class. So I'm sitting there trying to think of how to get some bonus points, and my professor comes in, hey guys, we got this new major. It's a new business major. I didn't even really read it yet, but there's a presentation about it tonight. If you guys go, you'll get some bonus points. I'm like, oh, I'm there. I don't care what it is. It could be something I have no interest in. So I get there, and they start talking about insurance. I'm like, oh, I don't know anything about insurance. So I'm listening, and they really drove home the point that it's not necessarily just something you push or a tangible product. It's really a solution to problems. And maybe selfishly, I'm thinking in my head, oh, my father owns a dental practice, and if a tree falls on the dental practice or the power goes out, that's going to directly affect me and my family's well-being. But then kind of looking through insurance, that's a solution to a lot of these problems. If a tree falls on the building, the insurance will help cover everything, and kind of really drove home the point of this is a solution to problems rather than just something you got to throw away, every month in your premium. So I liked it. I really liked the idea of helping people through some of these, terrible, unforeseen times, and kind of through the studies, I started out focused more on the property casualty side of it, and towards my senior year, got more involved with the employee benefits side of it, and that's where I work now at Gilbert's Risk
Employee
Solutions.
benefits?
Yep, I work as a benefits consultant there, and I find it really interesting.
That's probably the most unique look at insurance I think I've ever heard. I've never heard someone look at it from a solution standpoint and not I got to pay a lot of money for insurance. I mean, I think that's a majority of us are in that boat. We're just like, it's insurance. But that's pretty cool. That's a cool way to look at it.
Yeah, thank you. That's how I think about it. That's my way of helping people. It's, crazy stuff happens that you never think will, and if you're properly insured, it can be a huge relief to those burdens.
So what would you say to young kids, these high school students, even kids early in college? What would you recommend to get the most out of your college experience? So for me, I went to Penn State Shenango. After I did my time in the Army, I went to Shenango because that was a close campus and it was a good Penn State degree, and I was all about it. I know for me, I got involved with student government. I got involved with STEM club. I got involved in all these little clubs, and that's how I kind of met people and got plugged into some things that I actually really enjoy doing now. So what would be, if you had to recommend something, what would you recommend students do when they get to college?
Yeah, I love that question. That's something I'd always tell my first year students when I was working as an orientation leader. It was push yourself, get out of your comfort zone, and ultimately doing that by getting involved.
Yeah.
Especially at Mount Union with so many clubs and social groups and a million things going on. It's like, okay, you can branch out from what you know. If you came here with a friend from high school, great.
Sure.
You can make some more friends, kind of get out of your comfort zone, out of your bubble a little bit, and through that really just learn about yourself, learn about what you like, what you don't like, and through stuff like that really find what you're passionate about and what you want to do. It's kind of like you're there to study and learn how to do what you want to do, but being involved and really pushing yourself kind of helps you find exactly what that's going to be.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I 100% agree. That's what I liked about STEM club. That was a good shift for me. I really wasn't familiar at all, so I got involved with that club, and we started doing even little things, doing botanical gardens, doing we kind of did a little bit of everything, but it was cool. I always really enjoyed it. All right, so that kind of leads you up to college. You're involved in all these clubs. You got your degree in risk management, business, and then now you said you're an employee consultant with Gilbert's. What's that? What's a day look like as an employee consultant?
Yeah, absolutely. So ultimately, I'm working with employers and their employer-sponsored health plans. So the insurance they're offering to their employees, and we're here at Gilbert's, and myself included, we work with employers of all sizes. It could be, a sole proprietor with just, hey, this is my business, I'm running it with one employee, that's themselves, or, up to hundreds and thousands of employees, excuse me. And, depending on the size, does differentiate what's available to them. The smaller the group, kind of, you want to be more fully insured with, UPMC or Highmark or Anthem or Medical Mutual if you're in Ohio, and kind of hey, here's what's available, and we'll work with them to really identify what their needs are, find ways to make the plan more rich, kind of add some stuff in the background to, make it affordable but also effective. And primarily where I do focus is with some larger employers as well, where, once they get up to a certain point, depending on the employer, instead of buying insurance, them funding their own insurance might be a better fit for them. It's self-funding is what that is. And in those senses, essentially the employer acts as the insurance company. They dictate and kind of design, okay, here's the plan we're going to offer, here's the prescriptions that are going to be covered, and rather than going to the doctor, you're going to pay $20 out of pocket and we'll bill UPMC for the rest. The extra rest would then go to the employer, and we set up all the different vendors, who gets billed and who sets up the pharmacy. There's some insurance layers, umbrella and stop loss layers in the background, and I work with those as well. That's usually where I'm very interested as well, but I do love working with groups of all sizes.
Yeah, that's cool. And you guys are in Sharon, right? You're downtown Sharon?
Yep, just downtown.
That's awesome. That's pretty cool. So that's your day. Now, would you say 90% of your time spent in the office? How much time, I think one of the big things that, especially someone like me or someone like you, very active, likes to keep moving all day. I think sometimes we look at these office jobs and we're like, I don't want to be sitting behind a desk, 40 hours a week. What's that look like for you? So my job's I would say I'm a good 50-50 mix between sitting in an office and getting out and about in the community. So would you say you're a 90-10? Would you say it's 50-50? What does your day look like?
Oh geez, honestly, I'm not even sure. It really depends on the time of year.
Yeah.
The fourth quarter is our busy season, and a lot of plans are renewing, or we're making changes, or restructuring, and with that, it's a lot more out of the office during this time of the year. I'd say, oh geez, I probably have at least 1 or 2 meetings out of the office every day this type
Oh,
of time
wow,
of year.
okay.
And, right after the new year, it's a little slower as far as renewals, and that's more out prospecting, looking for new clients, trying to find some ways to educate yourself, going to conferences and attending events to learn more about the industry, what's going on, different vendors available. So there is a lot of time out of the office, whether it's with clients or prospective clients, or furthering your education. But there's also times where you're in the office every day as well. And it kind of really depends on what's going on.
Yeah.
If it's more getting everything kind of finalized, wrapping up contracts, you'll probably be in the office. But yeah, it really depends. The nice thing about my position too is that some people want to be more on the service side of it, and they're in the office primarily, and it's like, hey, I'm having an enrollment problem, or hey, this claim's getting denied, or hey, can we make this enrollment change? Or people can go on more kind of the sales and outreach side and work with the groups directly. And
that's more your thing. You're more of a sales outreach guy.
A little
more
bit
of a service.
both.
Okay, you're pretty good.
So I
split.
kind of take care and service the groups that I do work with.
Okay.
So I'll be out. If I would say I was like, hey Jake, I'm we're gonna work with you in your business. I'd be out working with you. But then on the back end, when something would come up, I'm in my position. I would also be the one helping with that.
Okay.
Yeah. So it really kind of just depends on what's going on with each group and what's available.
Okay. So that's kind of your career stuff. So we got your your high school education, your college, what you're doing now. What about, I know you, obviously I know you personally. You're pretty active in the community. You spend a lot of time volunteering. Would you tell me a little bit about that? Just, I know you're on, I know you're an ambassador. I know you're on the Future Leaders group. I know you're involved with Wilmington Chamber. I mean, you're a little bit of everywhere. What are some of the groups that you're involved in right now?
Yeah, absolutely. And, coming from Mount Union, where I was hyper involved back home, I was like, oh, this is great. I'm really excited to, be back home and reestablish my roots and reconnect with everybody. And, after I kind of got, through the settling phase, I'm like, something's missing. And it's like, okay, I just sit here, I go to work, and then I come home and play Xbox or study or whatever it might be. And I'm like, I know there's more out there. So I, started to look to get involved, and, was very, very fortunate. I'm very thankful that a lot of organizations up here are looking for people to get involved. And some of those include the Chamber of Commerce in the Shenango Valley. I'm recently getting involved with the New Wilmington Business Association, which is kind of a rebranded, restructured version of their Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
I work with the Future Leaders and Homegrown with you as well. Those are the 3 big ones at the moment. But I am still actively looking for kind of more stuff to learn about, get involved with, and really kind of just makes the community feel like home.
I'll say I was pretty, when I was younger, I definitely was not involved in any of this stuff at all. I mean, I don't know, I just never got involved in it. Like high school, even in my college phase, obviously I did some of the some of the clubs, but when that ended, until I showed up here with Penn-Northwest, I didn't get involved. But it's one of the things I'm thankful I did do, is start getting plugged into all these different boards and committees and volunteering groups, because it's pretty cool to see what's going on behind the scenes in the community. It's interesting. It's definitely the impression I had on Mercer County as a high school student, and my impression on Mercer County now as an adult is just complete 180. Back then I was like, I'm kind of bored, nothing to really do. I'm just gonna get out of here. And the further I kind of got plugged in here, I was like, oh my gosh, there's a million things going on all the time. And it's cool how receptive, you're right, how receptive the community really is to, young people that are just interested. Like, hey, I don't know anything about this foundation. What's this like? Is there any way I could get involved? And almost always the answer is yes. So yeah, you're dead on. So, you're kind of choosing this area as your home. What's something that you really like about this area that, maybe a Pittsburgh doesn't have?
Yeah, absolutely. And, I did live in Pittsburgh for a summer. I had an internship there in college. Yep. So although I'm obviously more familiar with this area and, chose to come back here, but a lot of it was just like sense of community, and my family being from the area, there's a big, kind of initial pull, but it almost feels like the whole community in the area is like one big family. There's a million different organizations doing maybe similar things, maybe not, but everyone's willing to team up and kind of help. And, it's really, really just the sense of community pride, but also just a sense of wanting to grow and make this a place that people don't want to leave, if anyone does kind of leave high school with that connotation. And it's awesome, not only do the community members want that, but the organizations and businesses in the area also want that. And between the community support and then just the connections with the business and industry leaders in the area, a lot of real change does get, shown. And that's one of the biggest eye openers I had coming back was like, oh my gosh, not only people graduating might think there's nothing to do, but people who come back know there's a bunch of stuff to do. Here's all the stuff we're doing. This is what we're working towards, and all of the business and community leaders are so supportive and want that to be the case, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, I feel like it's a new shift. There's been like this new shift these last 5 years that went from kind of everyone in their own silos to everyone kind of banding together to work, to kind of work on the same page and really improve the county, which is always really cool. I'm with you. I really like it up here. I think there's a lot of benefits. I really enjoy being able to get plugged into all these different business leaders and all these different industries and how easy it is to kind of learn about each other and collaborate on various projects. It's pretty cool that you're involved in all these volunteer things. I feel like not a lot of people are. I feel like it's kind of a I don't know. I feel like everybody feels like they don't have enough time to go do some cool stuff, and it's cool seeing someone that makes the time to get out there and get involved.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And the way I look at it too is, I was very proud of my athletic accomplishments growing up, and I'm very proud of the opportunity I have and the job I do at work. But my 9 to 5 doesn't necessarily define me, nor do I want to. I'm beyond proud and beyond thankful, and I have nothing bad at all to say about Gilbert's. But at the end of the day, there's 24 hours in the day. I want there to be more than to Jack than he just works at Gilbert's.
Sure, spent 40 years going to work and going home, and that was it.
I really want to try to make the people and the place around me better in whatever way that I can. And you really won't know until you start asking and kind of get involved and see where opportunities are. And as I mentioned with college, you kind of really find what you're passionate about and in the community or certain activities you want to do. And I think it really makes everything feel so much more home.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you thought about doing any like coaching or stuff? Is that in the future, you think? Are you thinking about getting back involved with sports? Or?
That's funny you mentioned that. I have thought about getting involved with New Wilmington or any school really's football program, but I have the lowest football IQ out of any school.
You're just gifted.
I was just very fortunate, and I worked hard. I would attribute the majority of my success to working hard and then just a great support system from my teammates and my coaches. And they pushed me harder than anybody ever has before, and I couldn't be more thankful for that because it really kind of helped get me where I need to be. But as far as teaching people how to play football,
That's not it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my
That's
friends
hilarious.
will be watching a football game and we'll be talking about like schematics or strategy. I'm like, I have no idea.
Sure.
I just played. I just played.
That's hilarious. That's funny. I was gonna ask if you knew much about the playing. That's fantastic. Well, hey, Jack, I really appreciate you coming on here, just kind of talking a little bit about you and what you've been up to these last couple of years, and your involvement in the community and your background in the sports. I think everyone's always interested to hear about old local legends and where they're at now. So yeah, thanks for coming on this today.
Yeah, no, please. Hey, thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed getting to talk with you and share my story, and definitely appreciate the opportunity.